I think we are all on air now. So welcome, buenos dias, bienvenidos. Welcome everybody to this session 8B, the very last session of the E&E Congress 2021 before the closing ceremony. My name is Mauricio Gomez, and I'm the Technical Director of the European Asphalt Pavement Association, EAPA, and it will be my pleasure and a great honor being moderating this huge panel session with up to 20 people, the cameras and the speakers. We might have some technical problems, who knows? I feel a bit like embarking to an adventure. Everything can happen in this hour and a half. So thank you everybody for joining, and I'm happy that you are joining with us. I would like to start with a bit of introduction to this session. Try to share my screen. Okay, you should be able to see the presentation now. So why are we organizing this session? Let's say that in the last years, especially, asphalt and bitumen industry got very aware of the need or the benefits of attracting new talent to our industry while retaining, of course, the professional assets that we already have. So we started a long time ago discussions such as what is attractive of our sector, what is not attractive, and this led to what is actually known about our sector in the general public, what is unknown. Can we actually import some characteristics from other more attractive sectors? And somehow we came out to the idea that, well, if we need some answers to the questions, probably the best way is to ask these questions to the people who recently joined the sector. So what actually attracted them, or what were the first findings in our industry? Do they like it? What things do they don't? So this is why, by the first time in history, the E&E Congress granted 20 full delegate passes for new professionals who have recently joined the sector, who are not currently in a managing role, but have been sponsored or appointed by their senior managers for their potential to progress into a future managing role, and people who have not participated in any E&E Congress before. Let's say the people granted with these free passes were, I'm showing the list in the screen. Congratulations to all of them. There are Vladimir Kim, Emily Corton, Simone D'Antonio, Raul Eldip, Craig Barnley, Carl Hultin, Rob Rosser, Ugur Osgur Kayan, Flavio Barata, Stefan Oest, Mathieu Hipki, Javier Corbera, Jean-Nicolas Depré, Nika Matul, Priya Darshini Cheyar Nageshwaran, Navid Hashemi-Nejad, Shahin Iskandar Sefat, Peter Boone, Christian Svoboda, and Mahmoud El Najri. I don't even know what language I'm speaking anymore. I also want to say that this initiative already started a couple of months ago. During the application, we asked them to send us a letter or an essay with some thoughts about different topics to learn more about them, already how they think, how they see the future of the industry. 1 week ago, we have a meet and greet video call with all of us. So we're starting to know each other, starting some network, making sure that the industry starts knowing them and they start knowing each other and the rest of the people in the industry. So as I want to say with this is that this initiative is actually going beyond this Congress. We have also created a LinkedIn group, so all of us can keep exchanging even after the Congress as well. Unfortunately, due to technical reasons, we cannot have all of them in the call in this session today. So we will have half of them, but in the camera and microphone. The rest of them we will be, of course, in the session using the chat and everything. To contrast a bit the ideas of these future leaders, we have also a top class reference of current leaders, of current managers. So to contrast a bit the different points of view. And in this case, we have from EAPA, the Vice President, Ralph Pomp. We have the Executive Committee member from Slovenia. We have Slovenko Henningman. We have from Norway an Executive Committee member, Eivind Olav Andersen. We have the Secretary General, Karsten Karche. From Eurobitume, we have the President, Frank Wiel. We have the Vice President, Francisco Lucas, or Curro Lucas, as he is mainly known. We have the Treasurer, Paul Fitzroy, and the Director General, Siobhan McKelvey. The objective of this session is simply to give the floor to these new people in the sector, to have an exchange with them, see different views, different insights on shaping the future of asphalt and bitumen industry for their point of view, and see how we can improve it, how we can make it more attractive. So we will structure the discussions in these blocks. We will start with first impressions that they got when they arrived to this industry, what they liked, what they didn't like, what were the surprises they found, like, actually, I didn't know about this and this is great. So we will see all about that, and that will help us to understand better how to make the industry more attractive, what we need to communicate more, or things that we need to improve. Then we will talk about the future, how these future leaders see the future. They are themselves the future of the industry. So how do they see it, especially related to the main topic of this Congress, which is Asphalt 4.0. I would also like to know about the experience they had in this first E&E Congress. It's the first for all of them. And so we can have also a discussion about that, how it was for them. We're now reaching the end, so how was it? And maybe even how can we improve it for these new professionals or potential professionals which are not yet in our sector. And if we have some time, maybe at the end, depending as well on the discussions we have in the chat, the topics that happen, maybe we can dedicate some time to other topics as well. This leads me to also to remind you, to encourage you, please to use the chat box you have for Q&A to send all your comments or your insights, questions. If it's a question addressed to a particular speaker, please include the name of this so I can know to whom it will be addressed, okay? Thank you very much. I will try to now stop sharing my screen because I think that's fine now. And I would like to give the opportunity for everybody in this call to turn on the cameras, wave hands, so to make sure that everybody's there, smile, everybody can see you now. Brilliant. So I can see the whole team, as you can see, a very large team for this panel discussion. Okay. Also, I would like to say that I will be basing a bit the discussions on the letters that they sent us. So I was finding some interesting comments here and there, and I will be asking these future leaders to develop more on them, and then we will contrast a bit with the opinion of the current leaders, and this is how we will do it. So please, to all the speakers, please keep it brief and just enjoy the conversations. I would like to start in this first block on how to make our industry more attractive. And I would like to, when I read these letters, one thing that was quite recurrent, a lot of people commented, was that it was surprising the level of innovation that we have in our sector. Actually, they didn't know about that. And I would like here to call Raul, Carl, and Stefan, because actually you commented in this regard. So I don't know if I can see you. Okay. So Raul, for example, can you let us know a bit with this first impression you have about the innovation we have in the industry?
Yeah, thank you, Brescio. Well, when I joined the industry, and so I was really surprised by the innovation at many levels, actually, not only scientific innovation to get to work on new formulation or new applications, but also on its ability to try to find new usage of the road and harness all the usage of the road, and also its agility to face whether it was supply disruption, market changes, and adaptability to new technologies emerging. That was quite surprising, actually, from an industry that has been here for so long.
Great, it's great to hear that. Carl, can you maybe also develop a bit? Tell us.
Yeah, sure. Well, since I'm a chemist, I didn't have any insight in the road industry when I started working here. So it's more like a chance that I ended up here. And in the beginning, in my mind, was like the payment industry was more of a logistical issue, like moving asphalt from one place to another. But then I realized that there's so much more than this. It's more like the bitumen quality is so important, like bitumen modification, how much testing is required to make good asphalt. And then I realized like this can be recycled. So it's so much innovation here that is going on.
Great, it's really great to hear that. Stefan, what about you?
Thank you very much, Tia. My first sentence in this essay you mentioned was bitume is black, sticky, and roads are made out of it. Actually, as soon as I have started inside this industry, I quickly realized, okay, building a road is much more complicated than thought before, and that there are quite a lot of possibilities regarding the product development. For example, to decrease the environmental impact, to decrease the aging sensitivity, to increase the recycling capacity. And you actually have a large set of chemical opportunities available to modify the bitume, to enhance its properties. And actually, this experience made bitumen asphalt, for me personally, highly interesting then, as you have a natural product in front of you, and now it's your challenge, your personal challenge, to modify it to achieve the properties you desire.
That's great to hear. Let's don't keep it too technical, but I think the main idea is that you found out a great surprise that we have in this industry much more innovation than you expected. This is a bit of in contrast because not all the future leaders commented in this regard. Actually, Priya, I will get back to you now because you commented that the technology is there, but maybe the developing is not as quick as it should. I don't know if you're a bit disappointed.
Hey, thank you, Brescio. I think it's less about disappointment and more about going forward. We live in a very fast-paced world, especially the digital part of the technologies that we are surrounded with. It adds to the already existing complex structure of the asphalt industry. So my concern is more that relatively on site, I'm able to see that we can implement these, but then the question is also, are we bringing the research also along, and are we going through to in the long run, are we thinking about it? Are we getting proper feedback and implementing it to learn from it later?
It's great that you mentioned research because it's something that I would like to discuss. But first, I would like to have the first insights from the representation of the current leaders. Let's just start with the president and vice president of EAPA and Eurobitume. Maybe Frank and Ralph, you can give us some insights about these first comments that we just had.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody.
Frank, please.
Yes, we must know when we want to look on young people, we are competing with companies like Tesla or Google, and I think when the young people have the choice between Tesla, Google, or somebody in the asphalt or bitumen industry, it's difficult. But if we are showing how interesting our business is really. And you had just to listen to the young people last minute. It's very complex and highly interesting to work in this industry. And I think if we are succeeding to show these and to explain this to young people, we are winning. And at the end, what would a nice Tesla do without a good road? So we are a high-tech industry, I think, and we have just to explain that.
I think we can talk about Tesla a bit later because it is true about the IT people they have and how focused they are already in this sector before even getting on it. Ralph, do you have any insight?
Yes, for me it was not a question because I grew up in this industry. We are a family-owned company, but I want you to think about the fact that every young boy or girl, mostly the boys, dream of being, for example, excavator operator or a lorry operator when they are young, and then they go to school, and after school this has vanished. So I think we have an image problem, and we should think about presenting our industry better, especially to people in their school age. And this is one of our problems, because in school they get the idea of working with computers and so on, and there they teach that asphalt and road pavement is something dirty and sticky, and that's it.
Okay, actually that's good that we talk about that. I wouldn't go that far because I wanted to talk about research. Priya mentioned research. When we talk about innovation, research is very important. It's the previous step to actually the implementation. And in this case, I would like to talk to Mahmoud because Mahmoud, we were colleagues at the University of Nottingham. You finished your PhD several years ago. Now you are on the other side. You are in a company, in a construction company. You have been involved in research projects. And so I would like to know what is your insight about this relationship between industry and academia, and for the research and the innovation. What do you think?
Contractors and researchers have already spending significant efforts to produce new, innovative, and sustainable solutions. However, project designers mostly follow conservative approaches, using either local standard or maybe even over-design the pavement to minimize the risk. Consequently, the pavement engineering industry has not progressed in utilizing new technologies and is far behind other professions in civil engineering. The question is, how can we change this? So to address this, briefly talking about the industry-university gap, only a little number of research findings is used to serve the industry in comparison to the huge investigations being undertaken. This does not only cut the funding opportunities, but also impact the development of the sector. If we try to address the causes, for example, typically in a research project, high-level objectives might be agreed at the beginning, but technicalities are often not discussed in details. Also, within the progress of the research project, the industry body loosens up close monitoring. This might result into a different route of the research that does not accurately satisfy the need for the industry. Also, sometimes, usually with PhD students, have little experience with the present issues in the industry, and there might be a lack of knowledge of current standards.
So very interesting points that you just made. I would like to ask, because in the current leaders, we have Eivind and Kuro. Both of you have experience mentoring, experience with students and the universities with you have been in research projects. So Eivind and Kuro, I can see Kuro, maybe Kuro, go ahead, please.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, Rachel, let me congrats the future leaders are here and the people that is in the session. I think that there are some tools to reduce the gap between the industry and the university. One of them is to create groups of organizations and university to develop some ideas. And one important thing too is that in the university contract teachers, specialists that they some experience in not only in academic or theoretical practice, you know, people who has got some experience in professional issues about roads, about construction, about lab, and that is important because I think that they are they near the industry to them and the student and the professional can see many things real, you know. But I think that the road is going to change. We need talent to transform the road, and this is very, very important.
Really hope so. Eivind, what about you? How do you feel about this gap? Do you think do you agree there is this gap or in between industry and academia? What do you think? Eivind, you're on mute. Please unmute your microphone.
Excuse me. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Often there is a big gap, and other times there may not be a gap. I and the people I work with in the company I represent, we have had. We are located very close to the Technical University of Norway, and we have always tried to invest in being available for students. We have been lecturers, and we have very often, almost yearly, we are, let's say, mentors for master's degree students or PhD students. We are involving them in our work. We're trying to help them define topics that are relevant for us, and sometimes these students will present topics that we wouldn't have been able to think of ourselves. So it's a very valuable and fruitful environment to work with these students. And not least, I'm absolutely sure that for people who don't really know very much about our industry, to be met like that and to be involved and given an opportunity to actually work with an industry is a perfect way to attract clever people. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great to hear. We have been talking about research. We could develop this much more because, for example, we have Navid is still in the university doing a postdoc, and we have, for example, Shaheen as well. They just finished. He just finished a PhD a couple of years ago. But I would like to talk now because we have a lot of topics. So I would like to talk about how this research, how this thing, when we talk about innovation, actually we are talking nowadays about two main things: developments in digital technologies on the one hand, and on the other hand, green technologies, sustainability. So regarding the digital technologies, I'm coming now to Peter. So Peter, I'm going to read a comment that you wrote and I would like to ask you to develop it a bit more. So you said the opportunity to use the very future-oriented solutions already available to drive the asphalt industry forward, to make it attractive to young people as a technology with future. I would like to, maybe you can develop a bit more what you mean with this technology with future, how we can use this to make the industry more attractive.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, when we have a look in all parts of our sector, it is really high tech. And this is what we should use to drive our industry forward. And when we see within the industry, we all know that, but the perception of the public is a very different one. And so, as it was said on Tuesday on the communication session, and I really like that, let's get loud. So we should use all available channels, social media platforms to share our message. And we have great tools with the asphalt advantages provided by EAPA. And the actual EAPA magazine, the Asphalt Advocate Corner with excellent statements. And we should be proud of ourselves because we can say we connect people and we make daily life possible. And that's how we should position ourselves, in my opinion, in the future.
That's great. And I'm happy to see that you are so updated about all these media channels. Slovenko, you are a great supporter of these Asphalt 4.0 technologies. And so please, do you have any thoughts about what Peter just said?
Yes, I think it is a good point. What Peter said, I think that we have to be more digital in each company. How to achieve this? I think each company has to make a strategy of digitalization to involve the necessary people from the company. And when we use new equipment, new technology, and so on, get the feedback from the employees, and when necessary, then correct the strategy. It is a cycle which will never stop. And with good management, we will be more and more digitalized. We will achieve better production in the industry. And at the end, of course, the sector will be more attractive for young people because the salaries will be better and so on.
Yeah, you know that actually this leads me to a couple of comments that I found in these letters. One is again from Peter and the other one is from Carl. So Peter actually said, as a newcomer, I was not aware of the complex technologies and innovations that go into asphalt roads. And that's a problem because it's like the innovations are there, but it's just that the people out of the industry don't know actually about them. And in line, Carl said, since I'm a chemist, I didn't have any real insights when starting to work in the paving industry. So as I said, I think that's a problem. Maybe we should communicate more with the general public. In this case, I would like to ask Kuro again, because Kuro is a tremendous communicator, especially in digital media. I think everybody already is following him on Twitter, on LinkedIn and everything. So Kuro, do you think there is a problem with communication? And if that's the case, how we can communicate better? What are the channels? How we can, I don't know, reach out better to the public?
Yes, thank you, Rachel. I never see problems. I always see opportunities, and it's my principal message for the future leaders in the digital fields. You know that all the things and all the people are changing. So I said before that the road is going to change and the people need going to change. In that sense, we need leaders that has got another skills, and this is your opportunity, because this is a big opportunity, because the people who has got more age, we have more difficult than you. But it's important to develop the skill of the digitalization, because you are going to interact with the road that is going to be digital, you know, big data, blockchains, and the people, the society, the stakeholders are going to be too digital. So future leaders, you need to be digital.
That's, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I would like now to change a bit to the green technologies. I would like to remind everybody, please include these future leaders that we don't have in the camera to send comments, to send questions in the chat box that you have available. We will gather them all and we will come to that in a minute. So let's talk a bit about these innovations on green technologies, sustainability. No, I think it's such an important topic nowadays for the industry. In this case, I got some comments from Craig and Navid and Shaheen. So Craig and Navid actually found very interesting, I think, certain aspects in terms of innovation related to sustainability. For example, Craig, you mentioned that the industry is moving forward, especially regarding recycling and CO2 output. I think that's two very important things. And Navid also commented about the RAP recycling. So at the moment, we live in the era of circular economy, and this is probably our flagship. You know, we have a material that is 100% reusable and recyclable. So it's a spot on that comment, I would say. So Craig, I have you on the screen now. You want to develop a bit that, what was your first impression with this?
When I first came into the industry ratio, I realized that obviously the industry has been going an awfully long time and nothing has really changed. But over the past couple of years, I've seen a lot of people getting involved in the greener technologies, like I said, such as CO2 usage, RAP, but also warm mix technology. Okay, we as a bitumen supplier, we educate our customers about the benefits of warm mix technology. This then gives them the freedom to educate their customers about the benefits of warm mix technology. So it goes basically from source all the way to end user. And it's the same with transport. It's the same with anything regarding the whole cycle of bitumen to end user. If we can highlight all the green technologies and the efficiencies that we can gain, then that's all the better. Okay,
yes, I think we are all on the same page on that. It's great to hear that. Navid, are you there? Yes. So can you tell us a bit more about cycling? You were quite impressed about that.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, green technologies in general are getting more and more important in all industries. And when I joined the asphalt industry, my first impression was that, okay, it's gonna be bitumen byproduct of oil, so nothing cool to work with. But after a while, when I saw the amount of RAP that we can use in our roads, or when I saw the researches that are being done on increasing this percentage of RAP, the rejuvenator, or these green technologies, it's really impressed me. And I believe that we should somehow be able to communicate this better with people outside of our sector, so they all know that's how much we are working towards being more green.
That's okay. Great to hear. And as I said, recycling is probably our flagship at the moment. With the figures we have, and we are reporting every year figures that are completely amazing, especially compared to other materials in the construction sector. However, Shaheen, I'm coming back now to you because I think you commented more like still there is a lot to do, right? And so what do you mean with this? Are you a bit disappointed with what is done, or do you think you are also thinking more about the future? You're on mute, sorry.
Well, honestly speaking, I think I was lucky enough to be involved in this sector from my bachelor degree. So I'm one of the few people, I guess, that who has done his bachelor, master, and also the PhD on the same topic, which was the pavement material engineering. But in some case, I honestly speaking was feeling very disappointed. But because I was very serious on the environmental issues, and I was always trying to find a way during my research works, which I have done, by the way, from the Central Asia, Middle East, Europe, and even in laboratories in California when I was studying there. But I was always considering the trilateral aspects of the sustainability in our sector. But at this recently, in the last 2-3 years, I get more attention to the circular economy. So how we can reach to sustainability without respecting or considering more than before the circular economy in our sector. So I believe that still there are a lot to do to make these two aspects together more close together. Yeah.
Of course, it's great to hear that we have this push to keep improving. I would like to know now the opinion of the current leaders about this topic, and right after that, I will ask Karsten and Siobhan because they're keeping an eye on the Q&A. So, Paul, I haven't come to you first. Can you tell me what you think about what we heard from the pitches?
Yeah, I mean, I think the industry is definitely starting to embrace the green challenge, if you want to call it that. I think through the course of the last 2 or 3 days, we've seen a lot of really good examples of new technologies that are being brought into the industry right through the piece. So from bioadditives to warm mix technology, even maybe thinner pavements and maybe lower emissions materials that have been brought to the market. I think there's definitely still more to do, and I think when we're here again in 4 years' time, we'll hear a lot more new technologies that have been developed. But I think that's only probably part of the story, and I think we've got a lot more to do in terms of emissions reduction as an industry, right through the chain, from transport, from our terminals, from our asphalt plants, etc. And I think that's probably another step that we'll take in the next while. I know it's something us as we're working on.
Okay, so that's it.
Yeah, no, yep.
Evan, I can see the camera. Do you agree? Do you have any?
Yeah.
Anything?
Okay, well, I think our industry has a lot to be very proud of. I think we are performing much better in this field than what the public sees or believes, really. So the recyclability of these materials, warm mix technologies have been mentioned. Many countries have been producing cold asphalt solutions for many, many years. And we are well underway of mapping CO2 footprint from our industry, but still we can do so much more as an industry than we are able to do, because we have a lot of limitations from specifications for design, production, manufacturing, etc., which often prevent us from using the full toolbox that is available to us. And I really believe that being able to make that step, we have to influence road owners to give our industry more freedom and procurement processes that award green technologies and innovation. And when this happens across borders, I am absolutely confident that we as an industry can deliver on society's sustainability goals. I'm convinced.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I mean, you are from Norway. Scandinavia is always ahead of everybody in Europe in terms of sustainability, in terms of all these technologies.
And it's possible. We have experienced it. It's really possible.
Okay.
Exciting. Yeah.
Actually, you mentioned something about that we could comment, but before that, I would like to ask Karsten and Siobhan, because I think there is some movement in the Q&A. Do we have any comments prepared, or do you need some time to select?
No, there's some comments.
Okay.
A couple of questions that seem popular. I'll read them out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. The first one that had quite a few likes was, to your own experiences, what do you think the industries should be doing to be perceived more attractive? So apparently we have heard a lot from the future leaders that feel there's an issue with perception. So are there any things that we can change, we could be actively doing to change that? I think that's really what that question's asking there.
Yeah, I think we commented already a lot about that. These technologies that are quite unknown, maybe we need to communicate more, because definitely these innovations are very attractive. And it's a pity that people know more about innovations about rocket science and the last trip to Mars or something like that, and they don't know about innovations in the roads, which is what they use every day, right? So to go to work and everything. So it's right. Do we have any more comments?
There was another interesting one. I'm not sure if we can answer this either. Does the paving industry have a common sustainability target and plan? Maybe that's
addressing.
Can I answer this question?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the UK today became one of the most major economy in the world to pass the law to end its contribution to the global warming by 2050. And the target will require the UK to bring all greenhouse gas emission to net zero by 2050. So most of the companies or contractors here are working strategically to bring this number to zero by 2050. So in terms of the asphalt industry, there are different targets with different levels. So in terms of plant, using electrical plants rather than the one used now, construction process using electrical vehicles, and in terms of materials, use recycled or more sustainable materials. So yes, the industry has taken a step forward for the 2050 net zero target.
I think we are in some ways leading this way, and maybe we need to communicate more, maybe to be well known for doing this. You know? So I think that's important. Maybe we could spend 1-2 more minutes with this. Karsten, Siobhan, any extra comment?
Yes, there was another comment here about the statement about the benefits that the asphalt has many benefits. So question here is, should we be putting more effort into updating the asphalt advantages, the campaign around that as a sector?
Yeah, maybe to consider by our communication committees, and maybe we need to work on that.
Maybe investing more in communication. I think that's really potentially.
We already commented
yeah.
Kuro. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, Kuro, I can see your hand.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. I really agree with Siobhan, and I think that the most important thing that we can do is to tell the society, which is our paper, what are we doing? Because sometimes I've had the sensation that they don't know that where are we doing in the industry of the bitumen industry of the application of the asphalt. And it's important to tell them we do that for you, for your own mobility.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to move now because we still have people to keep sending comments, because we will collect all these comments. This is very, very good feedback and very interesting ideas for us. So to define our future work lines at the EAPA, at Eurobitume, also for the E&E Congress itself. So please keep engaging in that sense. And I would like to move now, because we were talking about the past, these first impressions, these first feelings in the industry. And now I would like to move to discussions of the future, how these future leaders see the future of our industry. I have to say that in this regard, here in the letters that I received, I got a long list of innovations, of technologies that our future leaders are very well aware of. So they commented from software for the asphalt plants to increase the efficiency, to improve health and safety, softwares or applications for the logistics and the transportation of the material to the job site. A lot of, I don't know, on the job site, robotic machines, machine-to-machine communication systems. So they're all very aware of this. It was actually surprising within this concept of Asphalt 4.0. I can also highlight, for example, Peter mentioned big data, which is absolutely one of the fuels of the concept of Asphalt 4.0. Osgur mentioned vehicle road communication, and this actually will lead to a next thing that I would like to comment in a couple of minutes, which is the new modes communication between the vehicles and the road. So I'm very glad to see that. Christian commented on built-in sensors in the pavement. So roads are now self-monitoring, which has a lot of advantages in terms of the exploitation, maintenance strategy, and so. And Shaheen, for example, commented on energy harvesting. By the first time in history, our roads are starting to undertake functions or tasks in addition to being the platform or the infrastructure for the transportation. So we have extra functions now, which definitely are increasing the customer experience that we are delivering to our client, right? So in this sense, I think it's clear that the future leaders are very aware of these technologies. They know all about that. They know about Asphalt 4.0. They see a future on that. So I would like to create a bit of a little debate here with some representatives of the current leaders, because, for example, maybe Ralph and Frank, to start with you, do you think that we have at the moment enough IT people in our sector to actually address the needs that we have, or at the end of the day, we are importing technologies from other sectors, probably a bit late when they are not so innovative anymore? So what do you feel about that? Ralph?
Yes. Yes, I think we need more young people who are IT specialists, because nowadays our industry is more a mechanic one, but we will be forced to use much more new technologies to improve, for example, our CO2 footprint. And this is only possible to solve with new technologies, with changing of our mixing techniques and so on. So I think we need those young people, and we have to tell them to come.
Yes, absolutely, Frank. I mean, sometimes I know that there are people in computer science, for example, the students or something. They know that they want to talk to, for example, in the automotive sector, developing Teslas, or that is all about electronics or things. Do you think that we have that in the construction sector? Frank, I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you now. Maybe you can check your microphone in the background, because I can't hear you right now. Maybe I can call Paul. Paul, I haven't called you for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any insights about this? Have this power of attraction to IT people?
One of the, I mean, thinking about this question before, one of the things I thought about, I mean, I think, and Frank, maybe if he gets his microphone to work, will agree with me. But I think we work in big companies, like, I mean, I'm in Puma, Frank's in Total, and the likes of Shell, who have very large IT teams. But as even part of a company like that, the bitumen, or maybe asphalt in this instance, is maybe not even the sector of the business that gets the most investment in terms of IT. The likes of a retail business or a lubricants business might get that ahead of us. So it's up to us probably as an industry to try and put ourselves higher up that agenda. And I think you mentioned before, Beisha, that we tend to be getting innovations later in the chain than when it's maybe not so new anymore. And I think that's something we probably need to work on as an industry.
Even you were working again with the students, and so do you think we can attract more this kind of students that they like IT technologies and so on?
Yeah, well, I think it's first of all important to be honest towards ourselves. What are we offering these people when they do arrive? Because we do have IT professionals and young people, and I think we're sort of painted ourselves into a corner sometimes because we're a minimum cost industry very often, and it's always a struggle to be able to invest in something for the longer run. So I think it's important to have leaders that really believe in investment in new technology. Just as an example, we are mass producing data in our laboratories, and it's used only for documentation to road owners. And there is so much information in this huge amount of data. We are solving the same problems over and over and over again, and the answers are there, I'm quite certain, but we are struggling to be able to make these big steps in new IT tools. And so I think we have to look in the mirror and be honest to ourselves and make sure that we offer people something interesting. And we definitely need tools and need this type of competency. So this is up to us.
It's interesting, the idea that we have the capacity to generate a lot of useful data, but we are not fully exploiting it, fully using it. And I think that's the next step. And hopefully we get the right people to do it and to get to that. We were talking about these innovations, and all these digital innovations, as I mentioned before, lead to the concept of future mobility, or are enablers of the future mobility. In this case, I would like to refer to Emily. Emily, I haven't spoken with you yet. Maybe, Emily, you wrote in your letter, I'm seeing that it is our role as future leaders to support the transition towards future mobility. You mentioned that concept. And then I will come to Carl, because Carl also mentioned in his letter, electric and automated vehicles, carpools, etc. So all this belongs, of course, to the concept of future mobility. So first, Emily, welcome to the conversation, and tell me a bit, what is for you this future mobility and what is it?
Actually, yeah, future mobility covers a very large scope of topics. And actually, it's really a demand from communities also. And I think we have many challenges in front of us regarding this future mobility. And as you mentioned, it's, I think, our role as leaders and future leaders of the industry to be active and to show the communities how we can support the transition with, for instance, better road performance and durability, decarbonation, adapting the infrastructure to the different transportation modes, and improving the road's sustainability to respond to both economic and environmental needs.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Carl, can you add on that?
Yeah. Well, first, I would like to agree with even the big data that's out there. I think that's like a really interesting thought, because if we have a lot of data that not has been processed like big data, then like the information is there to like combine and maybe find a solution, or not a solution, but find like answer to where you should use different application, like where you should use a PMB, where you should use surface treatment or surface dressing. So that's like something that's, I think, is very interesting. But then also, like, we need to work like, because the electrical car industry that is like becoming bigger and bigger, I think we need to work with them, because I think they have like developed their car based on how the road looks like today, but maybe we can work together and make it easier for them to develop cars that is fitted for how the road looks like today. Like solve the issue how the car can be charged over charge while drive, and
yeah, all that is part of the infrastructure, of course. So I think we have a big role in this play. Let's see if our current leaders also agree on that. So Kuro and Slovenko, I know that you both are great supporters of Asphalt 4.0 digital technologies, and so how do you see the future, the future mobility and the role of the road, the infrastructure on it? Kuro, maybe we can start with you.
Thank you, Brescio. Oh, it's not an easy question, you know. It's an easy question, but with a difficult answer. I think that in this history, I think that we are very, very fast. We need to be the professional of the roads, that we are involved in that. We need to be calm. I think that we need to observe what happens, because probably we need to observe the mix of the energy that, you know, that is something that is very, very complex. So you know that we live in the era of the tomorrow I want it, and this is a complex problem. So in my opinion, of course, the road is going to be a principal role in this transformation of the mobility, but be calm, observe, and do it.
That's great, a great message. Slovenko, do you agree with that? Anything to add?
There are many questions. How the road or the surface can be used for the future. We have at the moment self-driving cars. We see that electro cars are not the future, they are here. And it will be very, one of the topics will be, I'm sure, how to get energy from the surface, from the road surface, and so on. There are many questions. I think that excellent question is how to put together the engineers from the, let's say, construction, asphalt industry, and IT experts to work together with this big data and so on.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned, for example, the energy harvesting. We had on Tuesday 3 presentations related to that in the session 2A on future roads and mobility. I think it's, yeah, this kind of technologies, at the end of the day, our infrastructure fills a lot of space. So if we manage to add new functions to it, it would be great, I think. And this will lead me also to the topics of sustainability, because a lot of our future leaders commented on that when they see the future of the sector, they comment a lot of improving the sustainability, developments in green technologies, and so. So I would like to come now to Nika. Nika, hello, I haven't called you yet.
Hello.
So Nika, you commented on a lot of things related to the future and related to sustainability. I think that's really important for you. You explain about, for example, the current European policy on sustainability, how industry will need to adapt with technologies. You mentioned, for example, warm mix asphalt, which is another big topic right now in the industry. You even talked about environmental taxes, which is also very a bit controversial, maybe, and so. Please let us know a bit about that.
Thank you. We already talked about this, how our common goal of introducing innovation should be representing asphalt industry as more green industry. And within the framework of environmental taxes that will have to be paid in the near future, the optimization of energy consumption in the asphalt mixture production also makes sense, not only from the environmental point of view, but also from the economical point of view. And for example, in Asphalt 4.0 committee in Slovenia, we made the comparison of average energy consumption for producing 1 ton of asphalt mixture calculated on yearly basis for 5 different asphalt plants. And the results show the difference, the average energy consumption between the asphalt plants from the for the production can differ by 40%. So I see here very good opportunity to optimize and reducing energy consumption in asphalt production. And of course, the measures are here, but we just have to implement them in practice.
Definitely. You mentioned the Asphalt 4.0 committee from Slovenia, and we have a Slovenko here. Slovenko, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, thank you. We think here in Slovenia that the lowering of the asphalt mix temperature, let's say by 20 or 30 Kelvin in the next period will be crucial for the industry. In this case, we think that everyone will be forced to use the new existing modern technology and get best possible results. It will be better for the people working on the sites, for less CO2 emissions and for less energy consumes. The whole industry would get better results and it would be more attractive. So I think this is the right way to lower the temperature and to change the requirements in the standard.
Okay, I'm happy to see that we are all on the same page, future and current leaders on that. Peter, I will come now to you because you mentioned recycling and we already talked about recycling. I wouldn't want to get into technical details and so, but I was a bit surprised because you say that related to recycling and CO2 emissions, innovations are slowed down even when they are proven that they are reliable. So you feel like the innovation is there, but maybe we need to put it more into practice, all the innovation, all the research we have, right?
Yes, of course. So I think CO2 reduction and the responsible handling of resources is the major challenge for all industry. And we are lucky that asphalt is a building material which is 100% recyclable. So we have the solution, but in my opinion, we're not implementing it consequently enough. And we should really push forward this technology because this is the way to become really a sustainable and environmentally friendly industry.
Mm-hmm. Great. The next topic on sustainability comes from Priya. Priya talked about the waste, the use of waste and byproducts. Priya, very briefly, and without getting into a lot of the technical details, but how do you see this topic in the future?
I think regarding waste, we are moving in the right direction. We try to use crumb wrapper, we try to use plastic, and more than that, we also try to go more towards bio-based materials these days. So although it's not really a concern, but I think it's sort of a warning that we have to always keep in mind what are the economic and environmental impact of these materials. And we have to assess it to understand how we can also have it for the long term. Not just look at the first degree consequences, but also the second and third order, so that we are not taken by surprise of how it turns out.
I actually can be happier to hear what you just said, because it is true that nowadays all this is a hot topic, and sometimes the clients push a lot in this direction. And we have to make sure that whatever we put in asphalt now and in the future doesn't take any risks in terms of many aspects. In EAPA, we published a document in this regard. So before you put anything, any waste or any byproduct, please check, do this risk assessment and check that nothing of this happens now and in the future, because recyclability is something that we have to preserve. So after this span, thank you, Priya, a lot for these thoughts. Craig also mentioned something related to sustainability, which is the long-lasting roads. So again, without getting into technical details, so how do you think? Tell us a bit about this.
Well, as Slovenko said previously, the electric cars are here and self-driving cars are coming. So I feel as an industry, we need to work with the car industry together to build a road that suits these vehicles that will last longer. Given that these vehicles are self-driving, there is not so much, as I call it, heavy foot syndrome with speeding and harsh braking and turning, which we know really does damage to the roads. With the vehicles self-driving themselves, they can be programmed to operate on the roads as we would like them to be driven, therefore meaning our roads will last longer.
Yeah, that's great. At EAPA, we have been also analyzing a bit the potential, some new users could create some additional impacts on our infrastructure. So we are also trying to analyze that. It's very, very interesting that you mentioned that. Karsten, Siobhan, I would like to know if we have some interesting comments in the, I think we do. So, so please let me know before we move to the next block.
Yes, thank you, Brescio. There's a lot of feedback in the chat. We received, I think, 25 questions now, and I will just mention one. One is the absolutely top question, and it's I think a really interesting question. I will read it. It looks like only 20% of our future leaders are female. Do you need to re-examine the way you describe what you do in order to attract a more diverse workforce? So this is a question that is really interesting. And one comment maybe before we move on with the program and the question could be answered. There's a comment or a proposal to have to put in place a mentoring program from senior leaders and experts of the asphalt and bitumen industry to for the younger professionals.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And to be honest, I always remember since my years in college and in university that most of us in the class of civil engineering, we were men, we were male students. And it's true because maybe we need to address the other half. We are leaving half of the potential workers in our industry. We are not reaching maybe enough. So I think we should consider that. So very interesting comments. We have maybe 2-3 more minutes that we can dedicate to this. Is there any other comments?
Yes, there's another. Of course, I told you we have a lot. One question is, right now we are exclusively talking about future leaders, but what about future roller drivers, mixing plant operators, etc.?
Yeah, an interesting question. I think we all should be on the same page, I guess. So maybe we can think about that for future editions to also get involved all these people on board.
Yes, and maybe a last comment for this block. The industry needs to be seen as a solution, not part of the problem. And this is what I hear regularly when we talk to people. We are such a good industry, and we do so many good things, and we are so circular, we are so green. So do good things and talk about them and present ourselves as part of the solution. When I have the possibility to refer to the opening session, when with the mobility as a service, and then we can see that we already provide sustainable services in this field.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree more because, as I said before, innovations are there. We're doing a lot, and we just need that people know about that. And yeah, absolutely. And we need to face some cliches that maybe come from the past. That I don't know, somehow the image, maybe some aspects of the industry, not very fair way, still are there, but so maybe we need to work on that too. Okay, shall we move then, Karsten?
Yes, I would say.
Brilliant. So we have still, like, I would say 15-20 minutes that I would like to spend with the future leaders on the first impressions with the Congress, with the E&E Congress. It's your first Congress, and we are reaching the end. So I think I would like to know a bit about your experience. But before we actually get into that, I have a comment that I received in these letters from Emily. It's very interesting and it's related to that. And I'm going to read it. And it says, in a working environment, I value innovation and possibility to interact with different actors from the industry to share challenges and perspectives for the future. As an active member of several Eurobitume technical task forces, I already have the opportunity to do so, and I expect my contribution in trade associations to continue. The E&E 2021 will also be a good plan for exchanging. So you mentioned two things here, the importance of the network and how both belonging to associations such as EAPA and Eurobitume, and also the Congress, the E&E Congress itself, can help a lot in building up this network, this exchange with all the stakeholders, with other colleagues, other co-workers, other people from other companies, right? Can you let us know more about what you think about that?
Yeah, no. As a member, as you mentioned, as a member of Eurobitume Technical Task Force, I've learned a lot. It's really a great opportunity for people in the industry, and especially as young people in the industry, to learn a lot and to meet, to interact with different actors of the industry. And this Congress has also been let's say, a wider platform where I've met people from different sectors, different actors from the industry. Have really enlarged my perspectives on topics such as digital technologies, sustainability. So it's been an overall very, very good experience when I've learned a lot and met very, very interesting people, especially through this Future Leaders session, which has been great. So thank you.
That's great. So this is what you commented before the Congress, and now I can see that that we fulfilled your expectations, I guess.
Totally, yeah.
So happy to hear that. So in terms of this comment, now that we're talking about this, the importance of the Congress, the importance of these associations, I would like to ask President and Vice President of the EAPA and Eurobitume, Ralph and Frank. I'm not sure. I think Frank, the microphone is not working yet. So maybe Ralph, can you tell us, what do you think? How EAPA, how Eurobitume can contribute to all this exchange with these future leaders, and the Congress as well? What do you think?
I think meetings like this E&E Congress are essential. We are all on the same boat. We don't have to invent the wheel every time new. So exchange of ideas, exchange of knowledge, exchange of tendencies is essential. And we have to work together also with the road authorities, because we have to see that we are not alone. These are our clients, and we have to use those meetings and the associations to exchange and to know the needs of our clients. So I think this is essential. And also, as we did the last minutes, to transport that we are a modern industry and to attract new people to our industry. So this is a kind of PR, and we should do this.
Yes, okay, thank you. So I would like now to ask future leaders in general about the insights. What do you think? So let me see a bit. Some of you haven't had a lot of chance to speak. Maybe Raul or Stefan. Can you tell us a bit? Stefan, can see you now.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience, your first experience in the ENE.
Yeah, I think so. The first experience was great, actually. So I think there were really lots of very interesting presentations. For myself, it was a great opportunity here for actually doing networking here and getting a closer look on what everyone else is actually working about. And thank you for that opportunity, of course. Maybe the only thing I would point out here that in my point of view, the discussion time of the question and answer sessions were, from my point of view, really, really short. So I personally would have preferred, of course, a longer, more open discussion with direct interaction. But this is, of course, one of the disadvantages when doing something like this virtually, of course. So I'm looking forward for the next meeting in the real world.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned, because we had these debates. Should we put more presentations or should we extend the Q&As? And then we developed this networking area. We said, okay, if the discussions are to keep going on, speakers and all the participants have the opportunity to just keep going on with the discussions in the networking area. I think the moments I was in this networking area, it was literally on fire. Everybody was participating a lot, sending a lot of questions, sending messages. So I think that was great. And so I don't know, Raul, I can see nothing if you agree with this.
I have to agree with what Stefan just said. I mean, this is a great opportunity for us young participants in this industry to have a window and see what's happening elsewhere in other companies and across the industry. And I really, like Stefan, I really appreciate this time where we exchange in the networking area where some exchanges can happen. and not only just assisting to presentations. And my only regret is that we're doing this virtually and not being able to meet people and shake hands. But I really hope and look forward for other meetings where we can do that.
That's great. So thanks a lot for the comments. Very appreciated. I don't know, Shaheen, for example, can you tell us your first impressions and maybe what do you think? How can we improve the E&E Congress for people like you or for potential participants, maybe people that like you a couple of years ago were doing a PhD, or people that are in a different sector and wants to learn more about asphalt and bitumen? What do you think?
Well, I have two actually points regarding one. The first regarding the Congress. Actually, I'm completely with Raul and Stefan. Honestly speaking, I would prefer more time for Q&A because that is the time that you can develop the ideas. More than presentation, because you will have the opportunity to read the papers or think about it, but the time for discussion will not happen anymore. And I have my suggestion could be like we could have more rooms in order to display the number of the presentations and then use the time in a better way. But I have a very quick comment on what we have talked about, why we are not using females in our industry. I completely agree with this, and I believe that we have a solution also for this. We can, or let me call from my side, at least it's my personal opinion, that we should engage more sectors in our sector. We should work more interdisciplinary and engage more people from other sectors in our sectors. In that way, from for example, chemists, for example, geologists, for example, computer experts. In that way, maybe we can bring more ideas, more new innovations to our sectors. I think this is we really didn't think about it so deep, and we should think to expand more interdisciplinary works with other sectors. And I have done, and I have a very great experience whenever I worked with other sectors and other chemists, computer experts, and etc.
So we take note. Thanks a lot. And maybe one last from the future leaders, maybe Nika, can you tell us something? How was your first experience and how we can improve?
Hi, maybe I can comment about not being that much woman in the industry. For myself, I can see I was also surprised that the bitumen and asphalt industry is not only black and sticky, and I think that the opportunities are open also for women in the industry. About this Congress, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. So many new things I've learned, and I was still learning, looking for all the sessions for behind that I missed. So thank you very much for.
But you know that you can access the videos of all the sessions.
Yes.
3 months. So that's I guess it's an advantage at the end of the day to do it virtually, right? So there are pros and cons, of course. We also definitely missed the face-to-face meetings, but hopefully next time. Okay, so thanks a lot for all these comments. Siobhan, and Karsten, I will get back to you because we have, I would say, 10 minutes. I would like to give some time for the people to jump from Auditorium 2 to Auditorium 1 for the final closing of the...
I think actually Karsten might have already left. He's
okay, already left the auditorium.
Well, he's in the preparation for the final session, I think. So
no problem.
That's the life of virtual Congress.
We have comments from the audience, and then at the end, maybe we can try, you and I, to do some wrap up of what we learned today. Tell me that.
So, I mean, there was, as Karsten mentioned, I was busy backstage going through all the questions and comments, which was great to have. And just to let you all know, they are archived. We will have a time to reflect on them, you know, next week when everything's calmed down a little bit. So anything that's been recorded will not be lost. So thank you very much for all that input. And as Ratio says, everything will be available for 3 months. So interesting point you were making at the end, guys, about the desire to have more discussion, which is, as Ratio says, always a balance between, you know, giving the platform to presentations, but it's great to have that feeling that there's a desire to have the discussion. And I really hope that the opportunity you've had on the platform today and be involved in the E&E, you'll be able to create these connections going forward. So it's not only about this 1 week, the connections that you've made this week, you know, hopefully that they'll continue forward in, you know, as you develop your careers. So a couple of things really just to reflect on from the comments. Ratio was a lot of support for, and as you've mentioned already, the need to you know, improve and engage more in communications as a discipline within the industry. Seems to be able, you know, an area that can actually connect with many of the ambitions and aspirations. So communication hand in hand with increasing the perception of the industry, and I think it actually it will work help with both of those issues if we do more. I mean, you know, there was lots of ideas about that on the chat, so we can capture those, and also there was a lot of support for thinking about having some kind of formal kind of mentoring or induction kind of program for new recruits or new people into the industry so they don't have to wait 4 years for the next Congress. They can we have opportunity to introduce new people into the industry to all these sort of fascinating and sophisticated and exciting areas that I think many of you started to allude to, that was a little bit of a surprise to you when you joined. So let's not wait 4 years to get that surprise. Let's give you that nice surprise at the beginning. So I think that's a nice idea about the mentoring program. So I think something particularly the associations can work on behalf of the members. So that's something I think we can take away. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So are those the conclusions according to you, or were more like comments?
They were really comments from what I heard from the discussion, and also from the comments on the, you know, on the back that were put on as questions, etc. So yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of alignment there with people's feelings, but overall it sounds like you've had a good experience.
That's great to hear. To me, I was taking some notes along, and I would say that for me, I would say the main conclusions I got here is that first, innovation can make our industry look better and more attractive. But at the moment, general public, people out of the sector don't know about it, and we need to maybe make people more aware about the level of recycling that we are doing, how we are leading in this way, about all these digital technologies, the robots, all these things that are super attractive. As I said before, people know about rocket science more than they know about road science, and so we need to try to be more attractive in this sense. And I think the way is innovation. We need to be cutting edge in what we do. The second one is that I think there is an overall and clear push from the future leaders towards digital and green technologies. I think all of them are on the same page, and I'm happy to see that current leaders are on the same page. At the end, we are all here to do that. So both innovations in terms of digitalization and sustainability, I would say that is what is going to shape the future of our industry, and the future leaders are telling us so. So they are the future of our industry. And at the end, just to conclude, regarding the Congress, I think the feedback was good. We got good and very interesting feedbacks, things that we could improve maybe in the next editions. I'm sure that in the chat, in the Q&As, we got much more feedback, that we will for sure analyze in the background once we finish this Congress, and we will take it into account for the future editions, as I said. So, Siobhan, if you don't have any more comments from your side, I would like to maybe conclude this session. Is there anything else you would like to add?
There was just one comment that came in late, was just to say thank you, Horatio, for driving the session and quoting this. It's very much appreciated, and I think all the hard work that you've put into making this happen. So thank you.
So thank you. Actually, you and Karsten, Siobhan and Karsten, you were helping me a lot in this and the organization of this session. It was the first time we did something like that, and I think it was a great success. We have a very nice conversation. I think it was quite relaxed. I think more or less we all have the opportunity to participate, and we have great outcomes. It was very interesting for people, and yeah, so thank you very much. Karsten, do you like to add anything else before I close the session?
Not to the content of the session, but we just checked the figures. So we had more than 120 participants in this session, which is, I think, very good at this late stage of the Congress. So thank you all for participating and joining and giving all these good comments. And one last word from my side. Thank you so much, Brescio. It was a pleasure to listen to you and to all the future leaders and to all the senior experts in this session. Thank you all for participating in this Congress, and don't miss the closing session that will take place just for 15 minutes directly after this session, and you have to connect to the next session again. Thank you.
Right, so actually that's why I think it's good. We are a few minutes ahead, so I would like to give some time to the people to change the virtual auditorium. I would like to thank all the panelists. Honestly, maybe you can all turn on your cameras one last time. I would like to see you all, and thank you for the great discussions, for all the inputs, both current leaders, future leaders. I would like to congratulate the future leaders because for this mention of future leaders that you had in this Congress. I'm happy to see that we've fulfilled your expectations, and I hope to keep seeing you after that. So we have this group on LinkedIn, and so it doesn't end here. We keep this initiative should continue beyond.
So give us a wave, and I'll get you on camera.
Mm-hmm. Brescio, I would like to say all of them that I would like to see the most of them in the E&E Congress of the 10 years, the next 10 years. It will be a good news for us.
You're not including Karsten and myself in that.
Okay. So just to finish, I have the honor of moderating or chairing one of the first sessions at the beginning. It was on future roads and mobility. I have the honor of moderating now the future leaders session. So everything looks to be about the future. So I really hope that in the near future, I see you all face to face in an event. So let's keep in touch. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thanks to the audience for having the Q&A on fire with very valuable feedback. And we close here. See you in the closing ceremony. Bye.
Bye-bye.